there is no magic wand, unfortunately. I mean, these are issues we've had to grapple with. They're created over a period of time, a long period of time. And all we can do is try to use techniques, tools, which we believe are taking us in the direction and moderate the concerns that we've all heard today. And I say that we've already begun to see shifts in a positive direction. Indeed, they have already started yielding early results with significant interest from foreign portfolio investors, which was a concern, that have already begun to supply the much needed foreign exchange to the economy. For example, upwards of the past few days, we have had over $1 billion that have come into the market, over $1 billion. And this, quite frankly, is the answer to the question, because the question was raised as to how do we know that your policies are working? And in fact, we were challenged to say that in fact they are not. And I would argue that with the numbers speaking and saying what is going on, the market has been responding to the policies that we have put in place. Our measures aimed at improving US dollar supply into the Nigerian economy has significant potential in taming the volatility of the exchange rates and in turn moderating inflation. However, for these measures to be sustainable, we must as a country moderate our demand for foreign exchange. And distinguished members, I could not re-emphasize this. You see, there's so much the central bank can do with tools. We are working very hard. We're working very hard to bring back credibility to the central bank and to bring back credibility to many of the investors that have decided over the years, because of policies that were not inimical, to go elsewhere. Because with investors, I always say that investors go to where the environment is enabling. You don't have to beg anyone. You really don't have to beg. If you're doing the right things, investors will come. And I couldn't agree more, honestly, on the distinguished senator who spoke and emphasized on the issue of transparency. I couldn't agree more. That is what is going to bring the needed inflows into our economy, because for people to invest, they've got to take you seriously and believe that what you say is the right thing and that you're not going to tell them stories anytime after. And that is to also go, and we'll talk about some of the other things in Q&A as well. We'll answer specifically a number of the other issues that aren't covered here. We will do it. We will do it. But I also want to say that in establishing credibility, there are certain things that we needed to do. There are certain things we needed to do. For example, the issue of the past due obligations, the forwards. We needed to ensure that we could deal with them in an open and transparent manner. And it is for that reason we got the highly renowned Deloitte management to come and look at that, and we worked on the outcome of their report. And as I've said earlier, we've already moved towards settling a substantial number, and right now we are down to a more manageable figure. Of course, a lot has been asked with respect to those that were within the infracted category, which we are looking at very closely, and those who are responsible will be sanctioned accordingly. Distinguished senators, we must understand, let me go back. However, for these measures to be sustainable, we must as a country moderate our demand for FX. I think this is very important. Honestly, CBN has no magic wand. We do not have. Our responsibility is in the process. If foreign exchange comes into us, we manage it in a way that is in best interest of the country, and we do not have excessive volatility. Okay, that's one. Our argument on the demand side is that we as Nigerians also must work together to moderate demand. Where there are opportunities for us to substitute locally, so we should. A couple of days ago, I made reference to the fact that a substantial amount of our foreign exchange over the course of the past few years had gone into medical and education, okay? And that in fact, the total quantum was more than our reserves. And I said that to prick people's minds and to start to think, well, maybe there are things we could do differently. Maybe there are things we can do differently. There was a lot of buzz on the social media. Oh, he's saying this, that he's saying he doesn't want. That's not my point. The market will always determine what is what. But I do believe that if we are able to up our game in the area of medical, education, the need for people to go abroad and spend so much money will not arise. It will not. And I must also say that I was very encouraged also by some very top people in the private sector who I don't even know from anywhere, and who sent me messages to say, look, we heard your statement, and we went back to think that maybe the way we as an enterprise are embracing foreign goods and foreign products, and perhaps, the need to go and do certain, to go and spend certain amounts of money in foreign countries, we can do the same thing here. We don't have to every time get up and go to the UK or to the United States. Let's put together a committee to start saying, well, look, how do we moderate these things? How do we moderate them? Because every single one has a responsibility, and no amount is too small. Distinguished senators, we must understand that the genuine issue impacting the exchange rate is the simultaneous decrease in the supply of and increase in the demand for US dollars. It is also clear that the task of stabilizing the exchange rate, while an official mandate of the CBN, would necessitate efforts beyond the bank itself, which is exactly what I'm saying. It will also include actions by corporates and individuals to reduce our frequent demand for the dollar for business and for personal needs. I would like to underscore the importance of the ongoing collaboration between the fiscal and monetary authorities, and particularly progress made on tackling a number of issues challenging our economy today. I couldn't overemphasize this. The ministry, we are constantly in touch with the ministries of budget and planning, and of course the Ministry of Finance, and more recently also the Ministry of Agric. We consider our function, in addition to everything else, as being advisors to government. And we are right now trying to strengthen that capacity to ensure that at the end of the day we can provide that creditably. The movement, the further collaboration between NMPC and the central bank is also a major step in that direction. And we're very happy that we have that opportunity to be of service to NMPC. And we also recognize that in keeping with that relationship, so also the challenge to ensure that we can meet all their demands at all points in time is heightened. In conclusion, distinguished senators, we understand the economic costs of these developments, not just for the economy, but also as they affect the ordinary Nigerians. And I always say this, monetary policies are no monetary policies if they do not impact the people down the line, there are no monetary policies. So we must bear this in mind anytime we are putting the monetary policy tools into effect. And I have absolutely no doubt that with the MPC meeting that is going to take place at the end of February, it will be clear of the direction that the monetary policy is going. However, as I have mentioned in previous engagement, these costs are temporary, and our decisions will address a lot of fundamental issues bothering Nigeria's macroeconomic landscape and ultimately put us on a surer path to prosperity. What do I mean by this in addition to everything else? It is that the monetary side can do so much. The fiscal side also has a major part to play. The monetary side does help in cushioning the volatilities, but ultimately a lot of the things that have been said by the honorable ministers today, as they begin to kick in, it will moderate the inefficiencies in our system, I believe.